just native Excel up. And what you've got is a ribbon, that Excel ribbon. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on connections for a second and just show you currently right now what I have is a connection to that, to that model that you just saw being updated on the dashboards. But what I want to show is, and again, what I want to show is the other connections that you can do. So here's the first thing that's really great about this, about the this Anaplan Fluence add-in, is that you've got the ability to really connect to virtually any data source. You can see that there's a connector to Fluence, there's a connector to Anaplan as well, but there's also all these other connectors. And I'm just going to slowly scroll through this list so you can absorb the scope of what is possible when you're connecting, connecting to these other sources. You can see there's all kinds of other connection capabilities to many of the source, many source systems that are in play or being used by organizations today. And so what you're able to do is establish a connection to these sources and pull data in to, to this Excel template, or to the Excel template that you're working on, with that. And you're also able to have different data sources connected within the same worksheet. So I could have my transactional data within my ERP system just natively stored there. That's where it is. Do I need to bring that data into into Anaplan, for example? No, because you leave your summarized numbers, more aggregated numbers, let's say within your model. If you then want to drill down to transactional detail, well, then what you do is you basically have a connection to your ERP that pulls in that transactional information on the same worksheet. You set up a page filter that basically then updates, based on what you select, the transactional data that you're looking for. And so this is the kind of thing that accountants love and really need to have as an essential tool in their toolbox. Is it an enterprise-grade consolidation solution? No. Is it an enterprise-grade planning, budgeting, and forecasting solution? No. But what it is what it does best, which is that ad hoc analysis. So here is it in action. I'm going to go ahead and select that connection, and I'm going to go ahead and connect. And again, I can have multiple connections if I want to simultaneously, but now I'm going to go ahead and connect to that to the model that was displaying the data on that dashboard. So I now have my connection available. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of scroll over a little bit, and I'm going to start a grid right on this cell intersection, and I'm going to select and click on the grid icon. This is then going to bring up the modules that I have available. So in this case here, I'm going to select, let's say, my income statement accounts, and by selecting that, I can see kind of what dimensions I'm going to have available to me. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now comes my design view. So then I can lay this out. So line items, I'm going to pull that into my page filters. Accounts I want in my rows. Entities I'll have as a page filter. Foreign exchange, like different currencies, I'll have in my page filter. Time I'll have in my column filter, and I'll put versions in my page filters as well. And then what you can do is decide, okay, what do you want to select from these from these dimensions? Well, I'm going to pull my amounts in. For my entities, I'm going to drill down into this hierarchy, and I'm going to select like total group, drag and drop that over. From a time point of view, I'll pull in FY24. And then from an accounts perspective, I'm going to drill in, and I'm going to select, let's say, my net income accounts. And now when I click OK, what this does is basically gives me that, the results of that query. And what you have is a dynamic, drillable report. For example, I can drill into time just by double clicking. I can drill into accounts just by double clicking, and I can continue to drill in to increase, just using into increasing levels of detail if I want to, and so on. I can also, and I'll just drill in a little bit further here to kind of expand this a little bit. And I see my live numbers here, and again, I'm live connected to this to the data. And maybe I want to pivot something, right? So what I can do is double click in the report itself. And maybe I want to have more of like a working papers view that a lot of accountants like to have. So I can just pull my entities and drag those out with time. And now what I've got is my entities now embedded, and I can double click and drill into my entities and kind of expand that further. But let's go ahead and sort of go back to where we were. So I'll just double click and go back into my layout, and I'll pull my entities back into my pages, because maybe what I want to do as well is potentially have some like selectors. So what you're able to do is, first of all, if I want to select on total, select something within total group, I could just right click on this and go to the Excel options. And in this case, I want to go ahead and select add a slicer. This is going to convert this field to a dynamic slicer. And perhaps I want to do the same thing for currencies. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add a slicer for this as well. So now what I have is dynamic selectability on my page filter. So now I can drill into the entity hierarchy dynamically here and select the US. And when I select the US, you can see my data just dynamically updates to that selection. And in this case, maybe I want to focus for whatever reason on, let's say, euros. And I can see that everything just dynamically updates as a result of that. And so it's that very quick, snappy, live connected capability to the data sources and the ability to just very quickly create something from scratch. And again, you can save this and be able to use it in future close periods as well. And if you've got formatting requirements, that's fine as well. So let's go ahead and select gross margin. I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to go into that Excel link and I'm going to select formatting and I'm going to format this level. But notice you have other formatting options capability, and up comes the very familiar formatting dialog, where in this case, I'm going to pick, let's say, my font is I'm going to make it bold. And from a fill point of view, maybe what I want to do is select like a nice sort of shade of blue, and I'll go ahead and click OK. And now what you're going to see is that, that formatting has now applied to every member on the same level. So you can be very specific and precise with your formatting, and you can establish formatting standards that then get applied seamlessly when you create new reports and so on. So you have the ability to kind of do that, but very quickly, you can be up and running to do that, that quick, snappy analysis that a lot of accounts love to do. Now, what we often have requests for is, you can see that this data is very much like it's live data. I can drill in and go into the details and so on. As well. But what if you wanted to have like more of a formula-based approach that reaches into the source system and pulls the data based on a dynamic reference? So what you have the ability to do within the Fluence Anaplan add-in is I'll just go ahead and select this entire range of numbers here. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to go into these options here. And what you've got the ability to do is actually convert to, right? So there's a convert option. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a formula. Now, and so what this is going to do is just automatically now convert each cell in this report to a dynamic formula. And you can see that there's the formula at the top. So it creates those formulas automatically. All you had to do is just indicate, yeah, I want to convert it. And now if I wanted to, for whatever reason, to make a change here and change the name of this account to, let's say, revenue. Now, again, before making that change, take note of the numbers, right? 45 million for FY24. But if I change this to revenue, let's say, what just happened? By changing that account name, that automatically updated the amounts because the formula is pulling this account name. So again, this is that essential tool, that all practitioners need to do the analysis that they would need to support the business. And Anaplan Fluence has that.